The massive war chamber echoed with alien voices, deep, rumbling, sharp, and strange. Each member of the council wore different armor, symbols from their homeworlds. Some had scales, others glowing eyes or strange metal limbs. But all of them had one thing in common. They were laughing at the center of the chamber. Under a tall dome of glass and steel, a single human stood quietly. Her black uniform was sharp, clean, and without any symbols of rank. She didn't need them. Her name alone carried weight across Star Systems General Ilara Voss. But here, standing among alien leaders, her name meant nothing. She comes without soldiers. No guards, no weapons, said the insect-like chancellor from the Krix Dominion, clicking his mandibles. Is this a peace offering or a joke? The tall blue creature beside him, Lord Viral of the Nabari clans, gave a low growl. Humans always talk peace when they're losing. Another voice joined in, softer but sharper. Or maybe she thinks we fear her. It came from the hooded figure of the Shalon Order. They're desperate. Let her speak before she starts crying. The laughter returned, louder this time. Echoes bounced off the chamber walls. Still, Ilara stood tall, her face calm, eyes focused. She walked forward, her boots clicking on the metal floor. "You've had your laugh," she said in a clear, calm voice. "Now, hear why I came." The room quieted, not because they respected her, but because they were curious. Humans rarely sent envoys this deep into enemy space, especially not alone. Ilara stood beside a massive tabula glowing map of the known galaxy floated above it. Dozens of systems blinked red or blue, showing which worlds were held by the Council and which belonged to humanity's alliance. Viral crossed his arms. "So, speak your piece. Beg if you want. It will make your defeat more ... poetic." Ilara didn't look at him. She stared at the war map. Slowly, she raised a hand and pointed at a red blinking planet near the edge of the contested zone, Zorath Prime. The Council followed her finger. "That world belongs to the Vorton Empire," hissed a council member. "You have no claim to it." Ilara didn't smile. She simply said, "We already own that planet." For a second, there was silence, then a few chuckles. Then laughter returned, louder and harsher than before. "You own it," Viral scoffed. "That's one of our strongest outposts. You'd need a fleet to even land near it." The insect-like Krix banged a claw on the table. "Are all humans this delusional?" But Ilara's face didn't change. She pressed a small button on her wrist. A hologram appeared. Live footage. Soldiers, human soldiers, walking through the streets of Zorath Prime. The alien banners were gone. Human flags now flew on the towers. Tanks rolled quietly. The city was under control. The council froze. "No," whispered one of the members. "That's a trick, a deepfake, a simulation." Ilara turned toward them. Her voice was still calm. "It's real. Your sensors were blind. Your satellites destroyed in the first hour. We took the planet before you even noticed." Another counselor's voice cracked. "How? When we started? Years ago," Ilara said, slowly, quietly, one by one. "We took out your sensors, your eyes, your ears. We trained in your terrain. We studied your guard rotations, and when the time was right, ... we moved." "You lie," Viral snapped, but his voice was shaky now. "You'd need an entire army." "We didn't use an army," Ilara interrupted. "Just one unit, stealth-trained, genetically enhanced. And they didn't just take the surface, they went underground, too." She pressed another button. Another image appeared, one that made several counselors lean forward in shock. It showed a dark tunnel under Zorath Prime. Human engineers standing in front of something strange, an enormous door made of smooth black metal, glowing slightly at the edges. "What is that?" hissed the hooded one. Ilara didn't answer. Instead, she stepped away from the map. "I didn't come here to start a war. I came to tell you this: back off. Leave Earth and our allies alone. We don't want more bloodshed. But if you push us again, you'll see what lies under that door." The silence was thick now. No more jokes. No more laughter. One of the elders on the council, a thin, pale being with eyes like glass, spoke slowly. "That door, ... is it what we think it is?" Ilara looked at him. "You know what it is?" Murmurs spread through the chamber. Real fear was in their voices now. "That world was forbidden," one said. No one was supposed to dig. There, another whispered. It was sealed for a reason. Virl slammed his hand on the table. Even if you control the surface, we'll take it back. Alara nodded. You can try. With that, she turned to leave. But just before she reached the chamber's exit, one final voice spoke. This time, it was not mocking. It was barely a whisper. That's impossible, the voice said. That world is under our protection. Alara paused. She didn't turn back. Not anymore. And then she walked out, leaving behind a council. No longer laughing, only watching, in silence, as the war map blinked with one more blue light. 2 years before, General Ilara Voss stood in front of the laughing alien council. A different kind of silence filled the command chamber of Earth's most secret military installation station Black Ridge Dot, beneath layers of mountain rock and cloaked by signal jamming fields. Black Ridge was invisible to enemy sensors. Inside, the brightest minds of the human alliance watched a single glowing screen. It showed a red, barren planet, Zoroth Prime. Once a peaceful mining world, now a fully fortified alien war zone. But in the room, no one looked nervous, only focused. Man in dark gray armor stood next to Ilara. His name was Commander Rourke, leader of the Ghost Division, a unit that officially did not exist. We've mapped all known defense systems, Rourke said, tapping the display. Shield generators here, drone nests here, 3 battalions stationed in the southern quadrant. Ilara studied the map. What's the weak point? He pointed at a narrow strip of land on the planet's far side, the North Ridge. Windstorms? They're disabled their sensors every 4 hours. We'll ride in under one. The operation was called Shadowfall Mission, so classified that not even Earth's Senate knew about it. Their goal was simple: take Zoroth Prime without the enemy knowing they were ever there. We insert silently, Rourke continued. No. Open battles, no radio chatter. We disable everything, take control of key systems, and go dark. Ilara nodded. How long to full planet control? 6 days. If nothing goes wrong. She turned to the rest of the Ghost Division, 35 men and women, all enhanced through years of brutal training, cybernetic upgrades, and zero-failure missions. Then you leave tonight, Ilara said. No one else will know. No reinforcements. No rescue. You hold until I call for you, Rourke grinned. As always, ma'am. Hours later, in the dark silence of space, a single stealth cruiser broke through Earth's outer orbit. No escort, no signature. Just a ghost ship carrying ghosts, as the stars streaked by Rourke, stood at the front of the ship. He looked at the sleeping planet ahead, Zoroth Prime, somewhere below. Millions of alien soldiers lived, trained, and prepared for war. They had no idea what was coming. The storm came just as predicted. Sand and dust blasted the high ridge, forming a wall of static energy that scrambled all alien sensors. Inside that chaos, the human drop pods pierced the atmosphere. One by one, they landed silently in the canyons. No explosions, no trails, just small flashes of heat quickly swallowed by wind. Rourke emerged from the first pod, his helmet scanning. The area, Ghost Team, status check. One by one, green lights flashed across his visor. All teams online, said Lieutenant Kaya, second in command. No enemy contact. Rourke gave the hand signal. Move. They advanced through the shadows, covering ground fast. Every step was calculated. They moved like smoke through the cracks of a fortress, bypassing guard posts and slicing into networks before alarms could scream. By the third night, Ghost Team had infiltrated Zoroth's main command tower. Kaya stood beside Rourke as they reviewed the tower's defense grid. We're almost in full control, she whispered. Power comes shield sol offline. But there's something strange. He turned to her. What? There's a restricted zone under the city. Old tunnels, no data. Sealed for over 1,000 years. Rourke frowned. That's not part of the Vorten military. She shook her head. Too deep, too ancient. They built over it, not through it. That night, while half the team guarded the tower, the rest followed Kaya and Rourke into the tunnels. The descent was long. The air grew colder, the walls smoother. Strange symbols, unlike anything in the alien language database, lined the stone. Then they found the door. It wasn't metal knot, like any metal they knew. It shimmered slightly, as if it were breathing. At its center was a small Symbiola triangle inside a circle, glowing faint blue dot, Kaya stepped forward. "Do we touch it?" "No," Rourke said. "Scan first." But before the scan could begin, the triangle glowed brighter and the door slid open with a deep, echoing hum dot. Inside was darkness. Not just the absence of light, but something wrong. The kind of darkness that felt like it watched back. They stepped in. Walls of smooth black stone. Giant coils of ancient machinery. Something pulsing beneath the floor. And then, a voice. "You do not belong here." Flashlights scanned in all directions. "Identify yourself," Rourke shouted. The voice didn't come from any direction. It filled the air like wind in a storm. Calm, terrible. "You awaken the Guardian." Kaya backed up. "Sir, we need to leave then." The floor glowed. From beneath the black stone, something rose 12 feet tall, shaped like a humanoid, covered in strange armor. Its eyes burned with cold blue light. It did not attack. It only watched. "You are not," Vortin, it said, "and yet you are not enemies." Rourke held out his hand. "We're human. We came here quietly. We didn't know what was down here." The being tilted its head. "Humans, you are new, but not unknown." The soldiers exchanged confused glances. "We woke you by accident," Rourke said. "We were trying to secure this world." "Why?" Rourke replied. "Because war is coming. We wanted to stop it before it reached Earth." The Guardian stood silently for several seconds. Then it said, "Your reasons are acceptable." Kaya looked shocked. "That's it?" But the Guardian raised one arm and pointed toward the surface. "If you control the world above, you must also guard the below. This place is not only a world, it is a vault." Rourke asked, "A vault for what?" "Knowledge," it answered. "Power, danger. Those who built this place are gone, but their creations remain. If they fall into the wrong hands," the Guardian's voice faded, then returned sharper. "Will you protect this place?" Rourke glanced at his team. Then he nodded. "We will." The Guardian stepped aside. "Then I sleep until I am needed." With that, it returned to its chamber. The door closed silently behind it. As the team climbed back toward the surface, no one spoke. The silence was no longer tactical. It was reverent. Back on the command tower, Ghost Team finished securing the planet. Alien patrols were disarmed. Systems disabled. Cities overtaken with 0 civilian casualties. The final message Rourke sent to Blackridge was short. Zorith Prime secured. Planet under full human control. No resistance. Unseen. Awaiting further orders. When Ella Ray received the message, she said nothing. She only looked at the war map and tapped the blinking red light. Then she whispered to herself, "Now we wait." Zoroth Prime was quiet now. The skies above its cities were clear. No alien drones patrolled. No warships hovered in orbit. Only stillness, like a planet holding its breath. But deep below the surface, where the Guardian slept once more, something had changed, a vibration. It wasn't loud, not even enough to shake the dust, but the ground itself knew. Something ancient had shifted beneath the crust, something far older than the Alien Council, or even humanity's first step into space. Far above, in the stolen command tower, Commander Rourke reviewed sensor logs. He stood at the central terminal, surrounded by his ghost team, eyes scanning streams of data. "Did you feel that?" Kaya asked, stepping beside him, like the floor moved. "I saw it," Rourke said. He pointed to a waveform. "Minor. Quake. But it came from the tunnel where we found the Guardian." Kaya frowned. "Should we go back down soon? But first..." Rourke pulled up a 3D map of the underground layers of Zorith Prime. It had been generated using stolen Vortin scans and what they found surprised them. The planet was hollow in places. "Look at this," he said, enlarging a section. "A network of chambers, some of them sealed, some breathing." Breathing. Kaya raised an eyebrow. "Pressure levels change every few hours." Like lungs, Rourke stared at the deepest layer. There was a large round space marked unknown. Even the alien scans didn't go past it. "What's down there?" Kaya asked. "We're going to find out." They returned to the tunnel with 2 squads. Lights cut through the thick blackness as they moved deeper than before, past the Guardian's chamber and further into the forgotten bones of the planet. The air was thick and warm. Their scanners picked up strange magnetic pulses too perfect to be natural. Then they found it a door knot, like the last one. This one was broken. A long crack ran down the middle, wide enough to look through. A dim orange glow came from the other side. Kaya knelt beside the opening. There's light inside. Rourke looked through the gap. What he saw took his breath. Inside was a massive chamber, dozens of stone-like pillars, each one humming softly. But it wasn't the size that froze him. It was what was trapped inside a machine, or a creature. It floated in midair, motionless. Its body looked metallic, but alive, covered in ancient symbols. Its chest pulsed with orange light like a heartbeat, and its eyes closed. Something's inside, he whispered. One of the engineers behind them, a man named Hewitt, stepped forward. We need to study this. This is pre-council tech. Maybe. Pre-galactic? You think it's still functional? Kaya asked. Hewitt didn't answer. He was already taking scans. Rourke pulled her aside. We need to be careful. Whatever that thing is, it wasn't meant to be found. Or maybe it was, she said. Why else would the Guardian wake now? The crack in the door widened, slightly releasing a faint sound, like whispering metal, and then a single pulse. The chamber lights flickered, back on the surface. In the control tower, alarms went off. Ilara stood in the war chamber on Earth, watching the updated feed from Zorath Prime. The red dot had turned blue. Then it flickered, then turned back to blue. What's going on? She asked. An officer spoke nervously. We're detecting a signal, not from our team. It's ... old, powerful. Ilara stared at the screen. From underground? Yes, General. It's not Vorton. It's something else. She walked to the table and tapped a button. A secure channel opened. Commander Rourke, report. Seconds later, Rourke's voice came through slightly distorted. We've found something, he said. Another vault. It's cracked open. There's something inside. Alive. Maybe is it a threat? Unknown, but we've triggered a signal. It's already broadcasting across local space. Ilara's jaw tightened, encrypted. No, Rourke said, wide open. She didn't speak for a moment. Then, you may have just told the council we're there. I know, he replied, but we may have also awakened something worse. In the Alien Council's deep space station, red lights bathed the command table. Counselors gathered in silence. The signal comes from Zorath Prime. Impossible, hissed the Vorton general. That world is secure. No, said another. It's not. We've lost contact with all units. The cloaked figure from the Shallan Order leaned forward. They took it, the humans. Quietly, one of the elders turned pale. Then the vault is open. The council chamber fell into chaos. Send a fleet, erase the planet. Destroy the vault before it fully wakes. Only the insectoid. Chancellor remained calm. We warned the others not to build over that place. The first war nearly ended the stars. They don't know what they've done, someone muttered. The oldest counselor stood. Then we make sure they never learn. He slammed a clawed hand on the table. Send the Black Armada. Back on Zorath Prime, inside the cracked vault, Rourke and his team watched as the floating machine stirred. Just slightly, barely noticeable, but the air changed. It became heavier, electric. Then a sound echoed a voice, but not spoken. It came directly into their minds. Awaken, ... complete. Rourke stepped back. It's conscious. The creature opened its eyes. Orange, deep, endless dot. It didn't move, but the chamber responded. Lights flared. The cracked door slid open fully, revealing the entire chamber walls lined with stasis pods, all glowing. There. Not alone, Kaya whispered. The machine's voice filled the chamber again. Designation, Omega Core. Status, rebooted. Identifier to command. No one answered. Then it turned slowly toward them. You are not registered. You are new. Rourke stepped forward. We're humans. From Earth, we came in peace. A pause. Earth, new designation. Unknown origin, threat level. Undecided, Kaya moved closer. We're not your enemies. The Omega Core stared. Enemies do not speak. They take you. Then the lights dimmed again. The ones before you did not ask. Rourke exchanged a glance with his team. What happened to them? The Core's voice became colder, erased. Then the orange glow faded slightly. But you are not them. You will be tested. Before Rourke could speak, the ground shook again, this time hard. The chamber lights turned red dot above Caius, come crackled. "Commander, this is Surface Team. We've got multiple heat signatures in orbit. Alien ships, at least 20. They just dropped out of hyperspace." Rourke clenched his jaw. "They're here." Illyra's warning echoed in his mind. They had awakened something powerful, and now they weren't the only ones who knew. The sky above Zoreth Prime burned red as alien ships entered orbit. Dozens of sleek, dark war cruisers, shaped like jagged blades, glided into position. They came without warning, no hails, no diplomacy. They came to a race inside the command. Tower ghost teams scrambled into defensive positions. Commander Rourke stood at the central platform. Eyes locked on the holomap that showed the descending enemy fleet. "Confirmed, 34 ships," Kaya reported. "Carrier class. No diplomatic signature. Channel, General Voss, the Vorton Armada, just dropped into orbit. Full fleet, no mercy." Ilara's voice was sharp. "They want the vault sealed on us, buried with it." "We're outnumbered," Kaya said, stepping beside him. Eyes glowing dim orange, silent, waiting. "They came for that thing," Rourke said, "and now we need it." Dust shook loose from the ceiling as distant impacts rocked the surface orbital strikes beginning to fall. The Omega Core watched them approach. "External conflict detected," it said without emotion. Signal patterns match Vorton offensive. Structure, intent, planetary sterilization. "You said we'd be tested. This is the test, right? Let's go." The Omega Core didn't move. "Your survival is not guaranteed." "We didn't come here to survive," Rourke said. "We came to win." The Core stared at him for a long moment, then request accepted. A low hum began to build in the walls. The room around them shifted, panels moving, stone folding in on itself, revealing hidden mechanisms buried for thousands of years. "What's happening?" Kaya asked. The Omega Core began to glow brighter. Weapon activation sequence initiated. Only coils, energy nodes, and floating rings that spun slowly in the air. "Design, phase disruptor," the Core said. "Anti-fleet, anti-orbit, anti-life." Kaya's voice dropped, easily. Above, in orbit, the Vorton commander stood on his flagship bridge. "Begin surface bombardment," he ordered. "We destroy the vault before it spreads." His officer hesitated. "But, sir, the energy readings?" I said. "Fire. Beams of plasma rained down, towers melted, forests ignited." The outer city of Zoreth Prime began to vanish in fire. But then, ... one beam stopped, mid-air. It froze caught in a twisting spiral of invisible force. Then it bent backward and struck the ship that fired it. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. What just happened? The Vorton officer shouted, "More!" Beams fired, more ships were hit by their own weapons. Others simply exploded without warning. A pulse was spreading from the surface upward in the vault. The phase disruptor had fully awakened. The coils spun faster, lightning arcing between them. The Core floated beside it, silent now, eyes locked. "Upward, engaging targeting sequence," it said. A panel opened before Rourke. No buttons, no screen dot, just a circular indentation. Glowing softly, he stepped forward and placed his hand in it. Suddenly, his vision blurred. He could see ... everything, the entire battlefield in layers. Orbit, atmosphere, ground, every life form, every weapon, every path, holy. He whispered, "You are now the Eye," said the Core. "What does that mean?" "It means ... you choose what lives." Rourke didn't hesitate. He blinked. The disruptor fired. Above, one of the Vorton carriers turned black in an instant. It didn't explode, it ceased to exist. A perfect, silent disappearance. One moment it was there, the next gone. The fleet panicked. Fall back. It's some kind of ancient tech. Pull the fleet out of range. But there was no range. The disruptor had no range limit. Another blink, another ship. Gone, another blink. An entire wing vanished from space. On Earth, the screen, "What is that weapon?" one of them whispered. She didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the image Zoreth Prime, glowing at its core, firing silent death into space. One of the admirals turned toward her. "Should we claim it?" Ilara's voice was cold and careful. "No, not yet." On Zoreth Prime, the vault quieted. The last of the alien fleet blinked away. "You just destroyed a fleet," Kaya said softly. Rourke looked at her, then at the core. "No," he said, "it destroyed a fleet. I just pointed." The core floated closer. "You acted with balance, minimal aggression, maximum defense. The test is passed." Kaya raised an eyebrow. "So, what now?" The core turned slowly. "Now, you must choose. Share this power or hide it forever." "We're clear again." What remained of the surface city was quiet. Smoke rose from shattered buildings, but the command tower still stood. Ghost Team gathered around Rourke on the observation deck. "We just became the most dangerous people in the galaxy," said Hewitt, the engineer, "which means we just became the biggest target," Kaya added. Rourke turned toward the horizon. "No one touches this planet now, not without our permission." He paused. "But we don't tell Earth everything. Not yet. They need to believe we secured the planet." "That's it. What about the weapon?" Kaya asked. "We lock it back up. We bury it. And if the stars ever fall again, we'll dig it back out." Behind them, deep in the vault, the Omega Core returned to its resting place. Silent again, but watching. Always watching. 3 days passed since the skies over Zorth Prime cleared. No more ships, no more orbital strikes, only the slow rebuilding of what remained. The Ghost Team worked in silence, fortifying the command tower, sealing off exposed tunnels, and repairing communication arrays, but the vault stayed shut. No one touched the phase. Disruptor again, and the Omega Core slept silent and still at the heart of the planet, hidden from the stars once more. Commander Rourke stood at the edge of a scorched landing pad, looking over the blackened horizon. The landscape still smoked in places where the Vorton bombardment had scorched the soil into glass. Gaia stepped beside him, holding a portable scanner. "The radiation levels are dropping. The outer cities should be habitable again in a week." "We won't be here that long," Rourke said. "We'll be replaced soon." Kaya raised an eyebrow. "You think Earth's going to let us keep this place?" "No," he said quietly. "They'll want control. They'll send a fleet, a science team, maybe even a senator, to make it official. Then what do we do?" Rourke turned toward the command tower. "We finish what we started." Inside the underground vault, the Guardians stood motionless, not the Omega Core. This was something older, the first being they had awakened. It stood in a stone chamber near the main access shaft. Eyes dim, arms crossed, Rourke entered the room. Alone, he paused in front of the statue-like figure. "You're awake. I can feel it." The Guardian's eyes opened. "You returned." "I have questions." "You always do." Rourke stepped forward. "You said this planet was a vault, that the Omega Core was just one of many defenses. But what's really down here? What was this place? Before the Vorton claimed it." The Guardian tilted its head slightly. "This world was never theirs to claim. It belonged to the First. The First, the original builders, the ones who shaped the galaxies before your species stood upright. Before the Vorton learned war, before the Council was even a whisper," Rourke's voice dropped. "So the Core, and this weapon, they're from them." "Not weapons," the Guardian said. "Trials. This planet was a test bed for leadership. Those who discovered it would be judged not by strength, but by restraint." Rourke frowned. "Restraint, power attracts destruction. But those who resist the urge to dominate survive longer." That hit Rourke hard. He remembered the moment the Omega Core gave him control, the way it had asked, "Do you choose what lives?" He had blinked and watched ships disappear from the sky like smoke. And now this ancient being was telling him that moment was the real test. "How many have failed?" he asked quietly. The Guardian answered without emotion. "All on Earth." The Senate Defense Chamber echoed with voices angry, alarmed, divided. Dozens of admirals, senators, and analysts stared at the massive war map on the wall. The blue dot over Zorth Prime pulsed brightly. Elara Voss stood in the center, arms behind, her back speaking to the room. "We now control one of the Vorton Empire's strongest military planets. Without a battle, without warning. This was not a show of strength, it was a show of precision." Senator Hallies, an older man with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Your report was vague. Energy bursts that don't match any known tech." There are rumors of ancient artifacts. Ilara's voice stayed calm. Rumors don't concern me. Results do. Did your commander activate something dangerous? Ilara paused. She could lie, or tell a version of the truth. He did what was necessary, she said finally. The enemy sent a fleet. It did not return. The room went silent. Someone whispered, she's not denying it. Another murmured, ancient tech, alien vaults. The chairman spoke firmly. Regardless, Zorath Prime is now Earth's. We must secure it, send reinforcements, full occupation, full study. Ilara gave the smallest nod. Send whoever you want, she said, but send them quietly. Back on Zorath, Ghost Team prepared for visitors. Dozens of Earth ships entered orbit civilian transports, science vessels, mobile command carriers. The first wave of reinforcements had arrived. Rourke stood on the landing platform, watching the ships descend through the atmosphere. I don't like this, Kaya said beside him. They're here to study, not fight. Kaya shook her head. You don't bring that many guns unless you expect trouble. I know, Rourke replied. He turned back toward the vault entrance, sealed now under layers of stone, metal, and false walls. No one knew what lay beneath except them. The science team landed first, men and women in clean white suits began scanning the area, planting flags, marking the land as claimed by the United Human Alliance. Then came the military, a full company of soldiers, armed and armored, took position around the command tower. One officer stepped forward, a tall man with a golden badge on his shoulder. Commander Rourke, he said, offering a salute. Colonel Dresden will be taking over from here. Rourke nodded, returning the salute without a smile. Planets secure. Minimal resistance left. Enjoy the quiet. Dresden's eyes were sharp. I've read your report. Short, very short. Not much to tell, Rourke said, except you wiped out an entire Vordan fleet. They left, Rourke said. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. Dresden didn't look convinced. Anything, ... Strange here I should know about. Just ghosts, Rourke said, and sand. Later that night, Kaya and Rourke walked alone down the old tunnel far from the patrols, far from the scanners. We can't hold this forever, she said. They'll dig, they'll find it. Rourke nodded. I know, so what's the plan? He looked at the floor, the quiet soil beneath which the core now slept. I'm not destroying it. It's not just a weapon, it's a judge. And if the wrong hands reach it, then we make sure they fail the test. The Guardian stood at the bottom of the vault, alone once again, but it was not still. Its eyes were open, glowing softly. It had seen this before. Many times new leaders came, with greed, with fear, with hope. But only a few walked away changed. As the surface filled with footsteps and chatter, the Guardian whispered to the empty air, May they pass. Zorath Prime no longer felt like a secret. Where once only shadows moved across its scorched surface, now there were camps, spotlights, and constant noise. Earth banners flew above hastily built structures. Soldiers patrolled. Scientists scanned. Drones flew in circles. The silence of victory had been replaced by the weight of curiosity, and Control. Commander Rourke watched from the upper deck of the command tower. He'd given up counting how many ships had landed. More came each day. Earth wasn't just reinforcing. It was occupying. They're building over a powder keg, Kaya said beside him. They don't even know they're standing on it. Rourke replied. Kaya glanced at the scanner tablet in her hand. New thermal signatures underground. Deeper than we went. The vault is bigger than we thought. How big? It's planet-wide. Rourke didn't answer right away. Behind them, the landing zone lit up with a fresh arrival, sleek and black. No markings. A private diplomatic ship. Who's that? Kaya asked. Rourke narrowed his eyes. Trouble. Inside the temporary Earth Command tent, Colonel Dresden stood at attention as the new visitor entered. He wore no uniform, just a simple gray suit. His eyes were cold, his voice flatter than steel. I'm Director Salen, Internal Defense. Dresden's face twitched. Didn't know ID was sending someone? You weren't supposed to, Salen replied. That's the plaque. He dropped a black case on the table. It opened with a soft hiss. Inside, a small cylindrical device, pulsing red. This is a seismic pulse reader, Salen said. It's already picking up irregular energy beneath this region. Your reports omitted certain details. Dresden stiffened. The commander said the enemy fleet was destroyed with minimal losses, and what destroyed it? Salen asked. A lucky missile, a plasma cannon, or something ancient. Dresden didn't answer. Salen gave a cold smile. Exactly, that's why I'm here. Commander Rourke is withholding something. I want access to every file, every tunnel, and I want him watched. Kaya found Rourke in the vault access corridor, inspecting a wall panel disguised to hide the entrance to the Omega Core chamber. You're being followed, she said. I know, he replied without looking up. That new Gaisalan, internal defense, he's digging fast, and he brought his own team. Private security, not standard military. He's not here to help, Rourke said. He's here to take. Kaya leaned closer. We should move the core, hide it deeper. Rourke shook his head. We can't. It's part of the planet. It is the planet. He turned around, eyes sharp. But we can do one thing. What? We can bait him. That night, Rourke uploaded false schematics to the Earth Command server, cleverly altered blueprints, suggesting a new chamber deeper beneath the surface, full of unstable weapons and tech beyond understanding. It didn't take long. Director Salen took the bait. Within hours, his private team was in the tunnels, cutting through rock, searching for a vault that didn't exist. Kaya watched from a hidden camera feed. They're going exactly where we want them. Good, Rourke said. Now let's see how far they'll go. But what Rourke didn't know was that someone else had already gone further, a member of his own ghost, Team Jocks. Brenner had disappeared 2 days earlier. No one noticed at first. Everyone thought he was on patrol. Then someone found his tracker on the floor near a collapsed. While Rourke reviewed the footage, Jocks had entered the sealed vault chamber alone. He was never authorized, and the worst part, he walked directly up to the Omega Core. Why would he go alone? Kaya asked. Rourke watched the grainy footage. Jocks, kneeling in front of the core, placing his hand on the control pedestal. But it wasn't curiosity. Look, he zoomed in. Jocks's helmet had a blinking blue light, one not part of standard gear, a transmitter. He was broadcasting, Rourke muttered. He sent out the location. Kaya's voice dropped to who? Not Earth, he said. The Vorten. The truth hit hard. Someone had flipped. JAX had betrayed them all. Why? Rourke couldn't be sure. Money? Pressure? Fear? Maybe he thought he'd get out before anything happened. But now, the Council would know, and worse, they'd know where to hit. Rourke called an emergency meeting inside the command tower. The rest of Ghost Team gathered in silence. I won't lie to you, Rourke said. We've been compromised. Jocks betrayed us. He accessed the core and broadcast its location. We can't confirm who received it, but I think we all know who's watching. Kaya added, we suspect internal defense may already be aware. They've brought in heavy scanning tech, private security. They're not here to study, they're here to control. One soldier stepped forward. What do we do, sir? Rourke took a breath. We protect the core. At all costs. If someone tries to take control, human or alien, we stop them. The room went silent. Not one person objected. Down in the tunnels, Director Salen's team reached the decoy chamber. It was empty, of course. Just walls, stone, and twisted metal. But as they scanned the floor, one of them triggered a trap. The blast was non-lethal but loud. Salen stumbled back, his face cut, blood trickling down his temple. He looked at the wall the words carved into the stone. You are not ready. His voice trembled with rage. Back on the surface, an alert came through. Multiple warp signatures, dozens the Ghost Team saw at first. Kaya read the display, out loud ships, dropping from hyperspace. Vorten design, no IFF, full fleet, estimated 39 vessels. Rourke didn't flinch. He turned to the comms officer. Sound the alarm. Lotto stations. Lock down the vault. They're coming for it, Kaya said. No, Rourke replied. They're coming for what they think is power. He paused, but they're going to find judgment. Far beneath the surface, inside the quiet vault. The Omega Core stirred again. Its eyes opened, and it spoke one word, awakening. The sky over Zorith Prime tore open. Vortan warships dropped out of hyperspace in waves. The orbit, once peaceful and silent, now burned with crimson energy trails. Each ship was covered in dark armor plates, their weapons systems glowing with heat before they even fully emerged. From the command tower, alarms howled. Commander Rourke stood on the platform, surrounded by flashing red lights and panicked voices. But his own voice was calm. "How many ships?" Without turning, 39 confirmed. Vorten heavy fleet. 2 carriers, 5 dreadnoughts. Rest are fast assault cruisers. Rourke looked out over the horizon. Then we end. At first, below, the vault stirred again. The Omega core floated above its pedestal, its body glowing a deep molten orange. The room around it hummed with rising energy. Thousand-year coma, threat proximity breach, the core spoke. Voice deep, hollow, emotionless. Planetary defense threshold unlocked. In front of it, 3 rings of light hovered each, one with ancient symbols rotating slowly. Rourke entered the chamber, flanked by Kaya and 2 members of Ghost Team, his eyes locked with the core's. "We're out of time," he said. "They're here. Then they must be tested." Rourke stepped closer. "Not just them. Us too." The core's voice shifted slightly almost. "Curious, you understand." Rourke gave a nod. "You told me once, the vault doesn't destroy based on strength, it judges intent. Correct? Destruction is not punishment, it is correction." Kaya stepped forward. "And what if the ones coming have no intention of surviving? Then they meet truth." In orbit, the Vorten fleet began deploying drop pods. Thousands of black cylinders fell through the atmosphere like a rain of knives. With thunderous impacts, within seconds, alien forces swarmed across Zoroth Prime's surface, engaging Earth soldiers in sharp, vicious firefight. The Earth Science Base was the first to fall. Its personnel either killed or evacuated in haste. Colonel Dresden stood in front of a broken wall, barking orders. "Pull back! Regroup at the tower!" An officer shouted. "We're being overrun. They bypassed our perimeter." Dresden clenched his jaw. He opened a private channel to Director Salen. "We're losing ground. Then make it one." Back inside the vault, the Omega core was activating something even deeper. The floor began to split panels, sliding away to reveal Rourke. Nodded. "We're going now." Ghost Team descended in silence. The air thickened as they moved down, the temperature dropping, the pressure rising. Their suits adjusted automatically. But still something ancient pressed against their minds. At the bottom, they found it. A room, unlike the others, not a chamber, a throne, floating in the center of a ring of dark crystal, pulsing with raw energy, was an empty chair. The Omega core voice echoed from above. "The throne of judgment. Command interface. Connection point to planetary control grid," Kaya whispered. "You mean whoever sits in it commands the planet, not commands." Merge's Rourke's jaw tightened. At what cost? Identity? Will ego. Only intent remains. If pure survival is possible. A long pause, Rourke turned to his team. "If I sit there, I may not come back. If this goes wrong, someone has to be up top. Someone I trust." She looked at him for a long moment. "We'll get you back." Rourke turned toward the throne. He didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and sat. His mind shattered. There was no pain, only space, light, time. He saw the planet as if he were inside it. He felt the stone, the energy pulsing beneath the crust, the temperature of the clouds above. He felt the presence of the enemy. He saw the war unfold, every bullet, every footstep, every scream, as if it were all happening inside him. And then he saw the Vorten Emperor far above the battlefield, deep inside the largest dreadnought. A cloaked figure stood in silence, watching the planet below with black, glimmering eyes. He wasn't here to conquer. He was here to consume. The core spoke. Into Rourke's mind, not aloud, not in words, but through emotion and shape. This is the final test. Rourke's thoughts burned. His memories spun like stars in a collapsing galaxy. But he held on to one image, Earth, a small blue dot, fragile, worth fighting for. He pushed the thought outward. The Omega core responded. On the surface, the sky turned blue again, but not from nature. Ring of light formed around the planet high above the atmosphere. It grew brighter, denser, until it looked like a glowing halo stretching across the stars. The Vorten ships tried to fire. Nothing happened. Their weapons refused to charge. One by one, their systems failed. The throne had linked to the planetary defense network, the real one. one not made of missiles or lasers, but will dot judgment. The ships began to foul quietly. Another blinked from existence, vaporized. The Emperor, still aboard the flagship, looked down with calm eyes and smiled. He welcomed the end back in the vault. Kaya and the others watched the throne glow brighter, pulsing with raw power. Didn't move. His body was stiff, head back, eyes open but empty. Rourke Kaya stepped forward. "Can you hear me?" No answer. The core spoke. Judgment complete, threat erased. "What about him? Still inside? Can you bring him back?" Inside the network of planetary consciousness, Rourke drifted in silence. He felt nothing, saw everything. He could stay. He could become something more. Not human, not machine, just Guardian. But then he heard her. Voice. Kaya calling his name. Not as a soldier, as a friend, as family. And with that, he pulled back hard. The throne stopped glowing. Rourke gasped, his body jerking upright. Kaya rushed forward. "You're back. You're You?" He blinked slowly. "Yeah," he whispered. That was insane. He stood slowly. "They're gone. All of them." The core ended it. No, Kaya said, "You ended it." On the surface, the last Vortan soldiers dropped their weapons and fled. Earth forces reclaimed the cities. Colonel Dresden stood with the stunned Director Salen as they watched the enemy retreat. "What happened?" Salen muttered. Dresden said nothing. He just looked toward the horizon and the mountain beneath which the throne now slept. That night, Ghost Team returned to the vault one final time. The Omega core hovered in silence, glowing dim now. Rourke stepped forward. "Will anyone else come?" The core's answer was calm. "Not soon, they have learned," Kaya added. "And what about Earth? What if they want more?" Rourke looked around the room, taking in the ancient stone, the soft humming machines, the quiet power beneath his feet. "We'll guard it," he said, "no matter who comes." Far away, across the stars, the Galactic Council received a final encrypted signal. It showed one thing, a human, sitting on a throne of light, and the words, "Zorath Prime belongs to Earth. Do not return." Weeks passed since the Vortan fleet vanished from Zorath Prime. No wreckage remained. No remains drifted through orbit. It was as if they'd never existed, but across the stars. The Galactic Council didn't speak openly. They didn't dare. But their silence was loudened. Earth had become the center of every hushed conversation. Planet had been taken, an armada had been erased, and the humans had used something ancient to do it back on Zorath Prime. Things were not quiet, they were tense. Colonel Dresden stood on the northern platform overlooking the construction site. What had once been a research camp was now a forward command base. More Earthships arrived every day. Heavy transports, orbital defense platforms, watched one ship unload a set of mechanized tunnel diggers. He turned to Director Salen, who stood with arms crossed. "You're still digging?" Dresden asked. Salen didn't even look at him. "More," Dresden muttered. "But is it worth it? You saw what happened to the Vortan." Salen's eyes flicked toward him, cold and sharp. Exactly, deep underground, inside the sealed vault, Commander Rourke stood alone. He had returned to the throne room, though the throne itself now floated dormant and lifeless. The Omega core remained in its usual place. Watching with eyes that no longer glowed, Rourke took a slow breath. "You're quiet now," he said. The core responded, but this time, Rourke took a step closer. "Something's changed, hasn't it?" "Yes." "What?" The core didn't answer at first. Then, "Others are coming. Older than the Council." "Yes. From where?" "From before." That chilled him deeper than any weapon ever could. He left the vault in silence, pulling him toward the screen. Dozens of red pings appeared on the star map observation probes, positioned across the outer edges of Zorath Prime's system. Rourke asked. "Unknown," she said. "They're not Vortan, not Council, but they're old, and they're watching." "Something," he said softly. "And I don't think it's a war." Far beyond Zorath Prime, on a broken moon orbiting a dead star, had been triggered, and from its depths, something ancient began to wake. Its first thought, Zorath Prime. Its second thought, the gate has opened, back on Earth. General Ilara Voss stood in the Grand Senate chamber. Her voice was strong, her tone sharp. "We must secure Zorath Prime, not just physically, but politically. We are now the guardians of something far greater than we imagined. We can't let panic or greed destroy what we've barely begun to understand. A senator raised his hand. You want full military authority. I want protection, Ilara said, from outside and from within. The room, another senator, stood. You're hiding something. You've seen what's down there, haven't you? We'll be dead. At the same time, deep within Earth's intelligence sector, Director Salen stood inside a black site lab. Before him, a replica core. Unstable power levels? He asked. A technician answered nervously, still climbing. Sir, this is dangerous. This isn't like anything we've reverse-engineered before. Salen smiled. Exactly. He tapped. A secure pad, opening a channel. Activate Project Echo. It's time we stopped following and started controlling. Rourke sat outside the vault entrance that night under the twin moons of Zoroth Prime. He didn't speak. He just watched the sky. Kaya sat beside him. They don't get it, she said. They never will, he replied. They think the core is a weapon, a tool, something to be used, because that's what they would do with power. Rourke nodded slowly. But that's why it chose us. Double quotes. Kaya looked up. So what now? Rourke's voice was soft. We prepare. Not for war, not for invasion. He looked toward the horizon. We prepare for the ones who are already on their way. From the edge of the known galaxy, something stirred in the dark. Not a ship, not a fleet, a presence. It did not travel through space. It moved through memory across the timelines of extinct species and forgotten stars. It had heard the core awaken, and now it was coming home. Rourke stood on the upper platform of the command tower, watching the horizon as a strange wind passed across Zoroth Prime's surface. It wasn't natural. The scanners didn't pick it up, but he felt it. It was as if the planet itself had taken a breath and was holding it. Kaya joined him, silent for a long moment. Then she asked, You feel it too, don't you? He nodded. Something changed. It's not just the Watchers anymore. Something crossed the edge of reality. She swallowed. You think it's here? No, Rourke said softly. But it's close enough to touch the air. Far beneath them, the Omega Core pulsed weakly. Not in warning, but in mourning. Its glow was pale like a star running out of light. For the first time since awakening, it sounded afraid. Memory breach detected inside the control chamber. And Kaya listened as the core began speaking in fragmented pattern-strange symbols, flashing across its surface. Kaya frowned. I can't translate this. It's not meant for us, Rourke said. It's remembering something. Suddenly the core's voice shifted ancient, layered with static. They come not for power, not for vengeance. They come to erase. The test itself, Kaya's voice dropped. You mean the ancients? No, the core replied. Older than us. Older than war. The ones who made us. They do not judge. They correct. Rourke's stomach sank. So if they arrive, everything ends. Vault Core. You, this world. They reset the stars. Far away, on the moon, orbiting a dead star. A being stood in the ruins of its own civilization. It had no face, no name, only purpose. And that purpose had awakened. It reached out not with hands, but with memory and touched Zoroth Prime. Across the stars, machines flickered, stones cracked. Vaults in forgotten worlds split open. Whispering to no one. One phrase echoed again and again in a voice beyond language, return to silence. Back on Zoroth Prime, Kaya met with the remaining members of Ghost Team. Only 6 remained. The others had either been reassigned or disappeared into Black Ops part of Earth's silent effort to control the vault by any means necessary. We need a contingency, Kaya told them. If this thing lands or manifests, we can't stop it. But we can hide what matters. Hide what? One soldier asked. She glanced at the holomap. There are other vaults. The core hinted at it. This planet wasn't the only test. We need to protect the rest, because if we fall, someone else must pick it up again. Meanwhile, Rourke walked into the Earth command base, directly into Colonel Dresden's office. Dresden looked up, annoyed. You didn't knock. You've got 10 minutes before your shield array fails, Rourke said. Dresden frowned. What are you talking about? Rourke tapped a portable device onto the table. The screen lit up. Radiation spikes, atmospheric shifts, gravity, distortions, all pointed to one thing: an arrival. Something's trying to enter our space, Rourke said. And it's not a ship, it's memory, wrapped in energy. The core calls it an echo of the first. Dresden leaned forward. And what does it want? To make everything forget this planet ever existed. Deep beneath the vault, the throne room began to tremble. Cracks formed in the stone beneath it. A quiet, chilling hum pulsed through the walls. And then a shadow appeared, not cast by light, it just was. It slithered across the throne, reaching toward the Omega core. But it didn't touch it. It simply whispered. And the core dimmed further. That night, the sky over Zorath Prime turned completely black. No stars. No moons, just void. Kaya stared up, gripping her rifle tighter than usual. It's like the galaxy blinked, Rourke. Joined her? No, the galaxy's still there. We're the ones being dimmed. You mean cloaked? No, erased. Then, as they watched, the stars snapped back into view. But something new floated. In the sky, a shape, a structure. It wasn't a ship, it was a door. General Elera. Voss received the signal from Zorath. 36 minutes later, encrypted. Scrambled. One line of decoded text read, Protocol, Spiral. The architects have returned. She stood in silence in the war chamber. An advisor asked, Do we engage? No, she said softly. We pray they don't notice us. Back on Zorath Prime, Director Salen stood in his secret facility with his replica core now glowing violently. You said this would give us control, he shouted at the technicians. It's feeding on the anomaly. One engineer screamed. It's sinking to something we don't understand. A blast ripped through the wall. The fake core shattered, releasing a scream that no human could hear. But every soul on the planet felt. Some dropped to their knees. Others forgot their own names for 3 seconds. Ghost Team, hunkered in the vault, heard the Omega core speak again. A copy has failed. The first are aware. Intervention is now inevitable. In the upper orbit, the door opened. No flash, no light, only silence, and something stepped through. It wasn't a ship. It was a being of light and stone. Too massive for any camera to capture, too ancient for any language to name. It hovered in space, motionless, staring at the planet below. Rourke and Kaya watched it from the tower. What is that? She whispered. He answered with a word he barely understood, an architect. Down in the vault, the core trembled. Direct presence detected. They will issue no demands. They will speak no warnings. They will only act. Rourke stepped forward. Then let me speak to them, the core glowed weakly. You are mortal. They are not. Then I'll speak for mortals. He walked alone. To the highest platform, faced the sky. Faced the door, and the architect looked down. And somehow it listened. Rourke spoke. Loud and clear. We passed your test. Silence. You built the core to judge. We chose restraint. We defended. We didn't conquer. Still silence. We are not perfect. The wind stopped, the stars paused, and the architect finally responded without words. Just understanding. The blackness receded. The stars returned, and the door slowly sleuzed. Closed, Kaya rushed to the tower, breathless. Did it leave? Rourke. Turn slowly. Not leave, he said. Then what? It accepted. The Omega core pulsed softly again, and said only one word. Approved. Zorath Prime was quiet again. No alien fleets, no strange winds, no screaming stars, only the soft hum of machines, and the weight of everything that had just passed for the first time in weeks. The sky was just a sky filled with stars, moons, and a faint blue haze curling over the horizon. Rourke stood alone atop the command tower, watching the sunrise bleed across the ruined battlefield. His armor was scratched, his eyes were tired, but his spirit, still burning. Kaya joined him, holding 2 metal mugs. She handed him one. It's not coffee, she warned. Some synthetic nutrient thing. Rourke took a sip. Tastes like regret. They shared a brief smile. Then Kaya turned serious. The architect hasn't come back. It won't, Rourke said. We were a test. We passed. That was all it needed to see. Kaya nodded, but then glanced toward the vault entrance and the core. Still alive, Rourke said. but sleeping again, like it was waiting. For the next time someone forgets what restraint means, Kaya lowered her voice. What if Earth forgets? Rourke looked at the horizon. Then we remind them. Far beneath the planet's crust, the Omega core pulsed once, and went dark, not dead, dormant, waiting, in the quiet of the throne room. 3 new rings of light floated gently around the sleeping Kurich, one etched with the symbol of humanity. They glowed faintly, as if recording something important. General Elara Voss stood inside the Earth Senate war chamber, staring at a full holoreport of Zoroth Prime. The architect's arrival had been confirmed by multiple systems, but no one dared name it officially. The Senate was divided. Some wanted to turn Zoroth into a research facility. Others argued for full planetary lockdown. A few whispers only wanted to destroy the vault. Afraid of what it might attract again, Elara didn't flinch. She raised her voice. We didn't win a war, we passed a test. And if we start acting like conquerors, the next test won't come with a warning, a senator snapped. You think we should leave it untouched? I think we need to respect it. The chamber fell silent. For once, no one argued. Director Salen did not return to Earth after his replica core failed and triggered the architect's arrival. He disappeared from the official record, but some believed he still operated in the shadows, trying to build another version, somewhere far away from the Senate's eyes. A mistake, perhaps. One that wouldn't go unpunished if the core ever woke again. Back on Zoroth Prime, Ghost Team prepared to leave. They'd done their job, kept the vault secure, held the line when no one else understood what they were standing on. Kaya loaded the final crate onto the shuttle. You sure about staying? She asked. Rourke nodded. Someone has to remain. The Council thinks this planet belongs to Earth now. No, Rourke said. It belongs to Purpose, and Purpose doesn't care about borders. She paused, then gave him a soft look. You always were better at speeches than reports, he smirked. Try telling that to the promotions board. They clasped hands, no words, just the weight of a mission that had changed the course of history. Later that night, Rourke walked alone. Into the throne room one final time, the Omega core was silent. The throne dark. He didn't need to activate anything. He just stood there, remembering what they'd found, what they'd stopped, what they'd become. And then he did. Something no one expected. He left a message, one encrypted in sound light, and emotion stored inside the sleeping core. Not for Earth, not for the Council, but for whoever would come next, across the stars, on a distant world, still frozen in silence. A dormant vault flickered. A sensor blinked. A signal had arrived. Not from the first dot, not from the architects, from humans, and it said, We understand. Power without purpose leads to ruin. We are not the builders. We are not the destroyers. We are the ones who learned. We chose restraint. We passed. If you come here seeking war, you will find memory instead. We are the signal now. Epilogue. The new cartographer 2 years later. A young explorer named Talon Myra stood on a barren world in a forgotten system. She was human but had never been to Earth, born on a colony, raised on stories. Her scanner beeped wildly. Beneath her feet, a vault, old, undisturbed, and just as she activated her gear, her visor flashed with a strange signal. 3 glowing rings, and a voice calm, confident human. Zoroth Prime. The Vault of Judgment. The day we chose restraint, Talon stood still for a long moment. Then she smiled. Guess I'm not the first. She knelt by the soil and started digging. The end.